Hello and welcome to the British Dapper, and today we're talking about things to consider when you're buying things online, part 3. Trousers, including suit trousers and shirts. So part 3 of a series of 4 videos, and today we're going to cover trousers, which include suit trousers and also shirts when we're buying things online. So it's fair to say that you can get some great deals when you look online, whether that be through eBay or Vinted or even buying new online. But there are certain things you really need to consider because you can't physically see the item or even try it on. So you're very heavily dependent on the description that's given for that item. And in some cases that can be very vague. So today is just to give you a few little hints and tips and things to really consider before you make that final purchase. So when it comes to trousers, obviously the image that is portrayed on the website and part of the description may not be very good, might be grainy, it might miss out vital parts of the trousers, especially if there's any pluck marks or stains, including any moth holes on them as well. So you have to bear in mind that the person that maybe writes the description might not be a professional. They might only be selling an item for a friend or a family member, and they might not have any specific expertise in what they're trying to sell. So they might well quote the waist size and the inside leg measurement because that's generally in the label of the trousers. But more specifically, when we're trying to buy something from a sartorial point of view, we really want to know if it's got pleats, if it's flat fronted. We want to know about not only the inside leg measurement and the waist, but also, for example, how high it's cut. So for example, it might be the outside leg measurement as well, which might help you differentiate between low-waisted trousers and high-waisted trousers, as an example. The other thing to consider is that whilst the label says, for example, a 34 and a 31 inside leg, it doesn't necessarily mean that that is the case, because as we always advocate from a sartorial point of view, if you're an in-between size, then get your trousers tailored to fit you specifically. And it's not unreasonable to expect that somebody selling something might have had those adjustments made, which you are not privy to. And maybe the person that has put it online has only quoted the sizes in the trousers label, rather than physically measured them and give you a more descriptive information about the measurements of the trousers. So for example, it might well say the label that it's a 34 waist and a 31 inside leg, but if it's been tailored to a 30 or a 29 and a half, then when you get them, you might be disappointed that they're 1.5 inches too short. And whilst that might be accounted for and adjusted by a tailor, it's very, very close to not being something that's retrievable. So the other thing to bear in mind when you're looking on that website is the item returnable? And what are the conditions for the return? That equally goes for suit trousers as well. Whilst you're buying a suit in totality, for example, you are buying the jacket and the trousers at the same time, we still have to consider the trousers and the fit of the trousers, the length, and as well as the jacket details as well. If they're 100% wool or mohair mix, then there could be a possibility of those trousers being prone to moths in the wardrobe. Moths love wool, and it's not unreasonable. Sometimes a wool suit or a pair of trousers might be quite a nice little feast for those little blighters. So it might be worth scrutinising those images as best you can for any blemishes on the trousers or any marks on the trousers. And if you're unsure, then why not ask the seller? They're quite easily contactable, generally by just an email away. So something to consider when you're ordering those trousers is that not only the waist size and the inside leg, but also maybe the hip measurements and also the outer hip to break length. So moving on to shirts. Now shirts are very similar to jackets in a way, because whilst we can get the collar size and we can get the nature of the cut, for example, is it a slim fitted shirt? Is it a regular fitted shirt? Is it a classic fitted shirt? They're all different widths, and depending on your physique, one will be better for, more suited for you than others. So it's something to really consider when you're actually buying that shirt or looking at that shirt. Don't just go on the neck size, the collar size. Just check that it is a particular sort of fit that you are looking for. I have in the past ordered a 15-inch shirt expecting it to be a regular, only to find out it's a slim fit, and that was just a little bit too tight on me. And luckily they had a return policy and I was able to return it with no cost incurred. But it was a close call and a very simple mistake to make. So I'm putting it out there to you so that hopefully you won't make the same mistake. But also when it comes to shirts, different manufacturers cut their shirts to different measurements. So you might find that a standard 16-inch collar shirt, as an example, with one company will give you a certain length in the cuff. Others might be a little bit longer, depending on the manufacturer. So bear that in mind. And also not only the length, but also the shirt length as well. And that can be a little bit complicated. If you get a shirt that's quite long in the tail, that might affect the fit of your trousers or the look of your trousers, and also how the shirt rides up on the belt line. So all those little things are just something to consider, and sometimes they're made for a slimmer template, if you like. So for example, if the shirt's made, for example, in Indonesia or China, Malaysia, places like that, where a person's measurements would be slightly smaller, shorter and narrower than a European size, that's something to also be aware of. Not only the materials that the shirt is constructed of. So for example, I would always advocate natural materials. Try to avoid those polyesters and acrylic mixes, mainly because they can be quite odour retaining. They hold on to odours quite easily, and actually that can make it a little bit uncomfortable when you're walking around sweating in one of those shirts. It actually doesn't help mask that, whereas a natural material, for example a linen or a cotton shirt, will actually be a little bit more capable of retaining odour and not releasing that smell when you're quite sweaty, hot and bothered, especially in the summer months. So material has something to do with it, as well as the time of the year you're going to be wearing that shirt. So for example, it might be a certain type of material which is a very thick material. That might not be ideal for the summer months. It might be better in the winter months, and vice versa. If you're looking for a shirt in the winter, then think about the materials it's made of, because you might end up with a very thin shirt which might not be, one, conducive for cold weather, but also two, can be almost transparent in some cases. So it's something just to consider there. But if you get the fit right on a shirt, then you're going to get a fantastic deal on eBay, Vinted, or one of the other platforms. As long as you pay attention to those images and the description, and if you're unsure, don't forget, wing them a message just to find out where you stand with that item, and check on the returns policy before you make that final bid or purchase. Because once you've done that, then your options might be limited. So I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, give us a thumbs up. If you'd like to subscribe, then please feel free to do so. We have a Buy Me a Coffee page, and I'll leave the link below so you can make a contribution to the channel if you wish to do so. So until next time, take care.